GOAT fans, welcome to another episode of the GOAT, and we are so excited to have some guests here today that we're going to be talking about the Chiefs. And are they the GOAT team? Are they the team to watch, to win? Are they GOATs? And Coach D is my co-host, D.
Oh, yeah. What's up, everybody? Let's go.
And now I want to introduce my main man, Mr. Art Still. We're going to go with Art first. He's on the left on my side anyway.
He's the one that don't have a helmet on his head. Linebacker, man, they still trying to find. I want to see Shawn, the show is over here. He's looking for a goat. We talk about a different type of goat. He taking it back on the farm, man. You know that. Shawn thinks he's on that show Deliverance. He ready. He want to hear a pig squeal.
So, Art, tell us a little bit about you. Why did we want to bring you to the GOAT show on Chiefs Week?
Because in Shawn's situation, he needs a translator and all, man. Because Hooked on Phonics didn't work. Shawn, Hooked on Phonics worked for me. No, I'm just joking, man. No. You asked me why I'm on the show?
Yeah.
Explain what a GOAT is. The GOAT, has, you got, sometimes people take the word GOAT in the wrong sense and all, too. A GOAT is something that can be steered in the right direction and make a difference because their fortitude. They get their mindset when a GOAT goes. I know the letters mean something different, but when you talk about a GOAT, man, if it's going in the direction, it's gonna go there. And if you've seen some pictures on YouTube, a GOAT against a bull, they got one. The bull wins and all. I mean, the GOAT wins and all too. No, this is the truth. If just text in there in YouTube, the GOAT and the bull.
Right.
You didn't know that side of the GOAT side, did you?
I didn't know it.
It's because it does have something to do with football. You guys think I'm joking, man. Check it out.
I believe you, Art. I want to ask you the question.
No, I'm saying, as far as in the game of football, the neck is important. Concussions, there's a variety of things. Okay, you guys, man. Okay. Hooked on Phonics didn't work for me, and I ain't take my medication today. Okay, I just made that crap up, man. You said something about that. Hey, man. I was thinking about going out the backyard. We got dogs and all. I said, man, when you said that, I'm like, man, hey, time to clean crap. Usually the wife clean the crap up, man. But I guess now I got to.
Hey, all right.
Apologize.
I do want you to answer the question, though. Do you believe you were a GOAT?
I have the characteristic of a GOAT and all, according to that and all. Because, I know we was talking about the one word acumen.
Yes.
And that's a key word, too, because a lot of people think, as an athlete and all, sometimes, especially playing for any sport and all, they think it's just because maybe your size and how strong and how fast you are. There's a lot of strong and fast and people in the world, big people. But again, I know a lot of GOATs, man, that you wouldn't think was a GOAT. And I know guys that I played with were GOATs and all, too, because they used their brain not just, and they weren't, you take a guy, and I'll use the example, Steve Tasker and all. He's one, I don't know if he's in the Hall of Fame and all, but played for Buffalo and all. He was the littlest guy on the team, but nobody messed with us because it was a combination of things, his intelligence. It wasn't his size, his intelligence and how he worked with people. And he used his soft skills in a way and all that, pulled it together and worked together as a team.
Right. And that's
Did that make any sense to you guys? I just made that up real quick. That was some crap, man.
Hey, that was good, my friend.
See.
Hey, Shawn, let's go over to you first. Shawn, let us know who you are. Art, you got to let him talk for a minute. Shawn.
Shawn, let me hold up for a second. Shawn, I'm going to let you talk for a minute.
I've known Arthur long enough to know you just got to let him talk till he get tired. Right, you let him talk long enough, he'll get tired, and then you give you an opportunity to talk. So, I mean, my name is Shawn Barber. I'm president of our ambassador group, our alumni group here in Kansas City. I was able to play 10 years in the NFL. I graduated University of Richmond. I started football in 11th grade, playing wide receiver, moved from wide receiver to safety, safety to linebacker. I entered the league playing for the Washington football team, which wasn't called that when I played for them, but they're now known as the Washington football team. And ever since then, I've been playing linebacker in the league. I understand the game of football. I've recognized it. I've gotten to scouting. I've gotten to coaching. So I've analyzed football from the player's mentality, scout's mentality, a coach's mentality. And I'm also a fan of the sport, right? So from all those different angles, 360 degrees. And so I think that gives me a little bit of credentials, or what I would call a little bit of acumen, to be able to diagnose and really understand what the terminology of GOAT, greatest of all time, who really should carry that tag, who shouldn't, because it has been used as a misnomer for a long time, just tagging anybody who's at a moment in time playing at a high level as the GOAT without paying proper respect to the historical guys, the guys who played back in the day. So when you talk about players today, there is no conversation of the GOAT today without talking about the guys that played the game way before me. So with me as a linebacker, I would begin the discussion with GOAT with one Willie Lemieux. That'd be a guy who I think played the sport at a high level, very smart, intelligent guy, played with a very high IQ, understand the game of football, understand the ins and outs, angles. He understands the risk reward as far as making tackles. He's playing, able to play a physical game and play it the right way. So if anybody asks me how to define a GOAT, first thing I would do is go history and go back to some of the old school type linebackers, and then talk about how the game has evolved since then to present day guys that are playing at a high level.
That's exactly right. And it's hard to compare and to measure, but when you talk about a GOAT team like the Chiefs, I mean, honestly, I don't know if they're the GOAT team, but it's something that is gelling with this team right now for the last couple of years. Tell me, are they the GOAT team?
What do you think,
Art? Well, I always look at it like this too. And I'm not an expert or anything. Like, I played the game. It was a means of me personally for me, it was a means of making a living. A lot of people say, how come you didn't coach? And the reason why I didn't coach too, because we be on the sideline losing the game. You think we be winning, man. We sitting over there telling jokes and all. So, I mean, that's how I kind of look at the game, man. And it was, when it was time to play, I played, that's what I was getting paid for at the time and all. And that's how, even, I keep things in perspective and all too. But I always think in terms, sometimes you pick out and you need key ball players and all too. But just like, and I'll take in the case with, Mahomes. If it wasn't for the offensive line, you think there's a lot of quarterbacks that came out drafted number one. I'll give you an example. Went to Kentucky and all was who was the quarterback we got?
Tim Couch.
Huh?
Couch.
Yeah, Tim Couch. Man, greatest arm size and all, but he went up there. Offensive line, when you're getting pounded, and Shawn will vouch for it, man. Quarterback, if he's getting pounded, man, he's going back there. That's all he's thinking about getting. And that's what happened in his situation. He was in the league 3 or 4 years. But now you look at him now, shoulders, he got all kinds of injuries and all too. So I always look at the offensive line, especially on the offense as a whole. If you don't have a good offensive line,
right,
you ain't gonna get the protection. And them guys play together as a team. That's all it's about. Using those soft skills, being able to communicate. And at the same time, you think about it, them dudes, man, probably, in comparison to paycheck to paycheck, there's a big difference.
Oh, yes.
Some guys are in there. The mindset is, hey, this is my responsibility. This is what, and don't get hung up on, the money situation. That's a lot of times people get hung up on that, on those types of things. But they go out there and do their job, and that's what counts. They play as a team.
Yeah,
does that make any sense to you, Shawn?
I think that their chemistry is impeccable. Just their level of, I would say that spirit that just connects each other. You know, they're happy when things are going right, and even when things are going wrong, they're not beating each other up. You know, the emotions are really under control on the sidelines. I think the chemistry for gelling is great. That's a real good one.
Yeah.
Man, I guess I would look at it from the offense and defense side. Obviously, me and Art both play defense, so we understand that team mentality a little bit more than most guys on offense. If you understand the game of offense, the ball is one ball and you got 11 guys to share it, right? And even if you only got 11 guys to share it, the 5 linemen don't count. So between the 6 other players, they share in one ball. Only one guy goes across the goal line. Only one guy can score. And they have to find a way, like you say, to be competitive, but also to have that connectivity, that community asset where it doesn't matter which one of us score, we score as a team, as a unit. Well, defensively, you one of 11 on every play, right? Like you got to take care of your gap responsibility. You got to know who your man, where your zone is. You got to know your blitz, your pickup as far as where you're going. And you got to understand that each and every play, if you don't take care of your business, your one-on-one, that can give up big yardage or touchdown. And so I think our attention to detail on the defensive side of the ball, understanding you're always one of 11, it brings in that word trust, communication, accountability, responsibility, a little bit more than the offensive side of the ball because, like I said, on offense, you can have that one alpha, right? Like Tyreek Hill, when he runs that slant route, it's a 5-yard slant. 8 other guys could have just not even moved, and it would have still went for 71 yards because he's such a dynamic one-on-one player. So between him and Pat, they can just make a connection and save everybody. But on defense, very rarely will you find a defense that's successful without all 11 guys being obsessed with getting to the ball carrier, tackling, taking the right angles to the ball. All the little nuances, the details of a defense that makes it successful on the defensive side of the ball.
And then on top of that, and what you're saying too, on top of that, of understanding everybody on the team, you know, when you go out there, you want to play a perfect game. There's no such thing. In your mindset, you're going to play a perfect game, but there's going to be, and you know, your teammates, everybody, things going to happen in the game. And that's where you kind of somewhat, that's where that encouragement comes. You pushing one another. Then, you know, if you see a team howling at each other, they're probably not a very successful team. But usually other teams, just like, you know, even with the Chiefs and all, you know, they might be down and all. And then, you know, people, you know, even the fans, you know, getting comfortable. Okay, they down. This is what they. But the thing is, sometimes that can catch you too. But you know, things been working in our favor in that way and all. But sometimes, you know, you don't want to get too. Hey, we can come back from this and all too. Especially with this big game coming up. There's no such thing. You gotta go full blow and all. You gotta have that GOAT mentality. And a little pig once in a while. Snap down in there, man.
Now, I have a question. Since you guys started to break it down to offense and defense, if you're just looking at our offense right now, and again, the skill positions of those 6 guys that you mentioned, Shawn, you know, is there a team that is as strong as we have? And who would that be from your guys' perspective? Because, you know, we got slot, so we got guys on the outside, we got a tight end that's tough, we got a back up to the backup back, you know. We're pretty nice right now. Who would you guys compare that to as far as that GOAT status?
Well, you tackle this one first? I'll tackle this one first. So obviously with the quarterback position, it's a no-brainer, right? Pat Mahomes, his vision, his capabilities, arm strength, his arm slots, the way he's able to attack a defense, his mobility. I mean, he's pretty much been clicking and developing and evolving as one of the top offensive threats as far as quarterback position of all time. When you go to the running back position, obviously, I think you start thinking about kind of that McCaffrey mode. You start thinking about Saquon Barkley, Dalvin Cook mentality, downhill runners that can catch the ball, they can pass block, they can do everything. And then when you start talking about the tight end, again, we come back to Kelsey, one of the top tight ends in the league. So right now, you know, you look at the quarterback, the tight end position, we got number 1 and number 1. And then in wide receiver, that's kind of it kind of depends on what you consider as top wide receiver, because obviously our wide receivers are built to play in our offense. I don't think that they would work in everybody's offense. I don't think if you don't have the accuracy of a Pat Mahomes, you can just put Tyreek Hill and McCole Hardman, Sammy Watkins out on anybody's offense and expect the same numbers. So the Mike Evans, the Michael Thomases, the Julio Jones of the world, they need a little bit different type of offensive structure to really evolve and be great. And so I would say that, looking at our combination of players, that you would have to look at overall our offensive skill players probably will go down as one of the greatest collection of offensive players of all time. The only one I would think maybe even comes close, you think about the Rams team, the greatest show on turf.
Yep.
Think about, me and Art, when I played, it was the Cowboys with Aikman, Playmaker,
Irving,
Emmitt Smith, and that
Barber
crew.
even.
And you talk about maybe the 49ers with Jerry Rice, Tom Rathman, Roger Craig, Joe Montana. So there was some culmination of some elite offenses. But the way Andy Reid has been able to develop so many different offensive philosophies and just keep turning the page to new ways to utilize.
It's so cool.
I think it's been a very tough start to stop us.
So guys, one thing that I want to ask you that I think is a great question right now is, you're going to the Super Bowl. You're on this team. I've never been a professional athlete. What's going on? You're going to the Super Bowl. What's the emotions? What's the anxiety? How are you dealing with that? There's no pressure on you, of course.
Well, my mindset would be more so making reservation after the game, going to Disney World.
I love that.
Yep.
Shawn's a different story. Shawn probably
Shawn's going to be a little different.
Shawn probably had to finish his community service up on 70, man, cleaning the highways, man. I mean, shame on me, man. Shame on me. You told me this. Hey, Coach, you told me to say that just to get him roused up, man.
I don't think you can rouse up Shawn, man. Check him out.
Hey, Shawn,
Lord got him.
He's all right here, man. It's going to be all right. Oh, yeah.
So, Shawn, what do you think? What's your answer to that? What are the nerves like going into the Super Bowl for a professional athlete?
I think so. Everybody accepts and understands the challenges of being on the big show differently, right? So you got certain players that are going to get laser focused. They're going to go about their way, and they're going to go about their timing, their normal process. Whatever their schedule was for an away game, we're going to try to keep the exact same thing. And then you have other guys that are going to just live in the moment, and they're going to use the energy from the moment to try to raise their play up to a new level. And they're going to ride that wave of excitement to see if they can even bring out a faster pace of play, a more stronger hit, even more explosive in their shedding of tackles and the way they make tackles. Or if you're a playmaker, how you elevate to make a catch, your celebration to it, that kind of thing. I was more of a treat every down like it's the same. Go through the same process. Once I call the play to the defense, I turn around. I'm looking for the offensive set. I'm looking where the wide receivers, the pro versus slot. Who's in the backfield with the quarterback? I'm looking at the gaps of the offensive lineman. Then I'm looking at the linemen to see how much weight they have on their fingers to try to determine whether it's pass or run first. And then I'm waiting, anticipating, knowing my responsibilities, my alignment, my assignment of how to attack this play. So I'm going through that process over and over every single play. Right. So beyond kickoff, once the lights, all the cameras flash, and there's that first kickoff, there's an explosion of energy. But then as quickly as possible, I want to calm it all back down, regather composure, and get ready to play the game I've been playing, like I said, since 11th grade. It's just another game. It's just another game. Now, I understand the stakes are higher, but in my mind, it's just another game.
That's awesome.
So cool that you described that, because you go to Art's side. You go over to Art, and he's exactly what you described. Let me live off that energy. Let me live off the moment.
I'm looking at you guys me and Shawn, man, and we all, and that's one of the nice things about playing on the team. Everybody looks at things, but when you play as a team, you gel. Everybody's got different personalities. Shawn, he's breaking everything down, man. My head started pounding. I can feel smoke coming out, man. I'm thinking, I said, Shawn, only thing I have to do is, man, I always think my technique is like this. You go out on the field, usually got cheerleaders. You get the cheerleaders not stretching real good and they're not getting their leg. Oh, this is our game. You check out the cheerleaders first, man. You don't check out whether pressures on the fingers, man, the quarterback, man, making funny sound. No, you check out the cheerleaders because the cheerleaders are a reflection of the team, and the fellas, a lot of the fellas now are doing the exact same thing I'm doing.
You know what, Art? I have been working with peak performers now for about 30 years. And I don't think anybody gets it quite like you do. It's like you just got to give no shit.
Hey,
Getting,
hey, Shawn, I don't know if you, well, you know, Shawn knows, you always got them players, man, before the game. We had, now, when I finished up in Buffalo, there was a guy, Leonard Smith. He played for St. Louis, and they traded him up to Buffalo. And Leonard, and you know, a lot of times people think, you know, big offensive line, them, you know, defense, tough guys. The toughest guys are like the DBs, the running backs, wide receivers, the littlest guys. You know? And I can remember when we was playing up there, you know, the thing is, the whole point was when Leonard came around, he wanted to give you high fives before the game. And it wasn't like just like a high five. Cuz, man, he burned your hands. And I can remember, and that's where it comes into play, man, playing the game, man. You got to think on your toes sometimes. So Leonard was going around and pop. I'm talking about, you know, all the big guys, too. And them guys burning their hands. And he comes around to me. And my line, I'm thinking, yeah, how can I get out of this one? Leonard come around to me. Hey, Leonard, just give me a little bit. Save some for later. And that was our line through the whole year, man. They smack everybody else, man, me just a little bit. They never have a burning sensation before the game. I was able to see the cheerleaders was clear, too. Hey, but that's a true story right there. Cheerleaders, too,
it's about adaptation.
Hey, don't tell the wife, man. She might be listening, man. Don't tell the wife.
Shawn, I was more like you. I was more of a details guy, and I want to know my opponent, but I have worked with so many athletes that I admire like Art. It's like I love that you can enjoy the moment and you can get the energy. I used to be so focused, overly intense, not able to enjoy the ride. And it's like if I would have had some of Art's ability, it would have changed the game, I think.
Well, hey, you know, another thing, too, and I'm bringing up, and everybody in Chiefs Kingdom remember Jack Rudney. Now, Jack Rudney, man, you know, as a center, man, he was a raw dog, so to speak, and all, too. But then he was an emotional guy. He did a lot of things. Kids especially brings them in, you know, before the game. He did a lot of things on his own time, and he enjoyed that. And Jack was an emotional guy, and that's what I'm talking about, all the different personalities. Jack, you know, at the games and all, there's been times, you know, crying and all. I mean, just he's that emotional about it. Yeah. And not saying anything. That's his style and all. And I remember one time, man, you know, because I joke around so stinking much. You know, one game we lost, man, and Jack over there, and I ain't lying, I tried to make myself cry, man. I got a headache, man. I said, what's the ticket, man? It's just a game, man. It's game, just play and enjoy it for what it is, man. You know what I mean? But, you know, and that's, but every individual, and that's what you find out, man. It's just, that's a family, just like your own regular family. Everybody do things a little differently. You might not like what they do or whatever and all, but you still have that respect. You know, when you go out and play the game, you're going to be there. And, you know, if you go down, he's going to be there for you and vice versa.
Exactly. Hey, guys, I want to ask you guys were professional athletes and you've done it. You put in the work and you've been there. And this show is about helping younger athletes to develop that mindset of what does it take to get there? That no quit, that grit, that the GOAT mentality. Any words of wisdom that you would like to part on our younger athletes that are watching that really want to be GOATs?
I would, hey, I'll make it let Shawn take the rest off, but I would say the first thing is, and I always tell them young dudes, I don't care how young, who's the most important person in your family? Most, and they're going to say their mother. That's where you start off, man, respecting your mother, use your mother looking out for you, and that's just, to me, people always talk about your coaches and all, but when you come out of that womb, your coach is your mother and your father. Some of the kids is just their mother and all, too. So, that's to me, that's the beginning of learning how to, those soft skills and all, learning, listening, because once you get the game, and Shawn will tell you, you know, these young boys and all back out, probably the same thing with Shawn. When I was growing up, it wasn't about, when I came out, I lived in Camden, New Jersey, in the projects and all. It wasn't about, oh, I want to play the NFL. Mine was only way I can get out of the ghetto or the projects and all. And like a lot of other kids, young kids out in the country, it doesn't matter if you're in the city or whatever, was getting an education and use my athletic ability to get to a university and all. And so, once you start learning those skills, then, because football is the same thing, football. And as we seen a couple games ago, Mahomes, he got hurt. It could have been worse than what it was. He could have been out of the game completely. That's just part of the game. So there's more to life than just the game. And that's where, respect for your parents, your mother, and those around you, those that you play with. I mean, that's how you learn those soft skills that's going to help you after football or whatever sports you're doing.
Thank you, Art. That's wonderful.
As an athlete, I found myself most comfortable around older guys, more athletic guys. I always felt I wanted to be the guy chasing the rabbit. I didn't want to be I didn't want to be the best athlete on the team. I didn't want to be the LeBron James, the Michael Jordan. I wanted to have other guys around me at all times that forced me to run harder, to train harder, to work on my ups, to work on my jump shot, to work on everything. We talk about football. I wanted faster, tougher, smarter guys around me at all times. If you can't run with me, I didn't really fool with you. I always look for something to chase. I want to chase that goat. I want to chase that rabbit. And so I think about the guys that I admired growing up. Let me start with Brian Dawkins. When I played with the Eagles, his mindset, his mentality has always been God first. He plays because he understands all the talents he's been given has been given to him by God, and he wants to put on that show for the Lord. He wants to showcase every God-given talent to the utmost, every play, and showcase that to the point where it almost transcends. It transfers into another person. He calls Weapon X. So during the game, before it's announced, he says his last prayer, and then he converts himself to a weapon. He weaponizes every ability the Lord has given him to become what you see on game day, Weapon X. That alter ego. It has no fear. It has nothing but success. No option but to win on every day. And that mindset is something I saw even in the practice field. When he stepped across that white line, he turned to somebody else. And so I've seen characters and some players that have that kind of mindset.
Yeah.
And then I played with some that had the more cerebral, the Will Shields. When I played with Will Shields, he would sit down 2 hours before kickoff with his feet up in the locker and go to sleep, take a nap, and visualize all the offensive calls and sets to a piece of calm. He would slow the game down. And then right before kickoff, he go from this quiet, totally like non-violent to just a wild hog, this Tasmanian devil out the locker room. And you stay out of his way because you know he was.
This is a kid's show, man. Not get too deep on that, man. This is a kid's show, man.
Yeah. So Will came out just like he wanted the opportunity to like just break that defense, break your one-on-one. He knew your defensive set and how you were your technique, and he took so much pleasure in breaking your technique as a one-on-one player. And that was the way he thought he was going to sacrifice and help his team lead the victory. And then I guess my mindset personally was like a hybrid between the two. Right, I understand that the talents I was given, I was blessed for them, I developed them, but I also understand that there was a little bit a need at times to flip the switch. And once I prayed for my opponent, I prayed for him before the game, but then when I went out there and unleashed the beast, it was a whole different mindset. Like I couldn't worry about his health and my health, so I became the hammer, and I treated everybody else on the field like they were a bunch of nails.
Right.
One shot. I just wanted to hammer, boom, and be done with it, on to the next. Every play, that mentality kind of ruled me. It led a young man out the University of Richmond, a small school guy, undersized linebacker, to be out there on the field with a bunch of mammoth guys in the last 10 years.
Hey, Shawn, I like that one. You pray for the dude, man. I hope I don't hurt him too bad. I hope he man, boy, hey. I'm like, man, I can see you out there, man, them guys, man. Hey, Lord, help Cuz right there, because I'm going to hammer him. I got a hammer in my back.
You know what, John? I so much that attitude, what the things that you just described, it's Kobe's mentality. It's the people that were the greats. And it's like, I love that mentality. We got to start winding down. D, do you got the GOAT tip of the week?
Yes, I do. And I actually want to go right off of what Shawn just said.
Oh, no,
as
hey,
far
hold
as
up for a second. Hold up
visualization.
before the GOAT tip of the week. When you mention GOAT, you know the first person I think about? And I ain't lying. His first year, before I left going up to Buffalo, he was a rookie and all. Can you guess? GOAT. Think of a GOAT.
Football player.
Think of a country over the other side of the world that has a big continent, and they have big angles. They got the Sahara Desert and all over there. They got different countries. He's from over that area and all, from that continent. Oh, Christian Okoye, man. Come on, man.
Yes.
Christian Okoye, man. Ask Christian, man. He used to bring to lunch goat to eat. You lie, don't lie.
Go Curry is really good, to be honest with you. Go Curry is really good. No lie.
Look at Coach D. Curry is real good now.
No lie. Go Curry is nice.
No, but I can remember, man, as a rookie, you know, he's coming bringing some goat. I said, God, what's going on here, dog, man? You don't have no pig or nothing, man. Shucks. I mean, but it was, you know, when you say goat, you're gonna have Christian on here, man. He can talk more in details about what it tastes like to be a goat.
What it tastes like to be a goat.
I love it. Yeah, no,
and
I'm saying, as far as Shawn, you mentioned with Will's visualization, you know, when it comes down to keeping your vision alive, you have to spend time there every single day. You know, for at least 5 minutes in the morning, 5 minutes at night. Write it down so it's in the mirror when you wake up. It's above your bed when you wake up, so you never lose sight of the vision of the goals. Or again, if you want to be the GOAT in your sport, write it down. Think into it every single day and continue to add. And like I said, live there for 5 minutes in the morning and 5 minutes before bedtime. And I guarantee that'll get you on your road to being the GOAT.
And then, hey, Coach D, and then on top of that, association, man. If you're around some folks, man, they don't have that same mentality. That's going, and most they said, people that you hang around is going to reflect what type of person you are too. So bad association spoils useful habits.
That's a great tip.
I like that.
You probably figure out what. No, I can't say it.
Shawn, I want to thank you. I want to thank both of you guys for being on the show. You are awesome, and we would love to have you back anytime you want to come. I want to end with the T-Bones have changed to the Monarchs, and they're starting again this year. And I want to encourage everybody to go out and watch a Monarchs game. It's a new atmosphere. A new. Go ahead.
Can I just mention, you know, this time of the year and all, we talk about the big game, and I'm just throw it out there, and Shawn knows about it too. We didn't do it this year because of COVID. Usually over at Harvester and all, you know, some of the ambassadors, we split up in 3 teams working along the Chiefs. They're, you know, the front office and all too. And we do the red coders, and we bag lunches, food and all for those that are deprived, you know, don't have. And so, you know, one of the things I was going to encourage whoever's listening and all too, if they get a chance, Super Bowl of Caring works along, and it's about getting that exposures, tackling hunger. But if they go to map.tacklehunger.org, the nice thing about that is, you know, a lot of times people think about, you know, donate money and all, and go someplace out of their town and all. But the nice thing about Super Bowl of Caring, on that map, you can go to your local food bank, your area and all, where you can either contribute, and you think about that 14 billion meals they say is going to be needed this year for those that are insecure, food insecure and all too. And just think, if just in that game, if somebody just gave $1, or just say they gave a can of food, it could be over $150 million, and just think what an impact that could make on our community. And the nice thing about Super Bowl Caring is it's about keeping the money and working within the community and all. So if you put your zip code in there, you'll find out the food banks, food pantries, and at the same time, if you can contribute, you know, that's great. If you can give a can, that's great. But if you can volunteer, that's great too. I mean, just putting it all together. And then, like we're talking a lot of times, we're talking about goats and all. Now, the GOATs and all are the ones that take the lead as far as not for
Absolutely.
themselves strictly. They go back in the community with their own family structure and use that as far as making a difference in, in people's lives. And you think now with the starving, the food, hunger, and all those types of things going on. And then you look too, we're talking about student athletes, look in the school, how many homeless kids are going to school now that don't have nothing to eat?
ACK
So now
especially.
that mentality got to change where it's not, we want to have that, but display that, even in schools, we think about schools with the bullying and all, there's a lot of things that we can take this to another level than just strictly self. Because what you'll find out, they said, when you help others, you heal yourself. And how many of us need some serious healing? Ain't that right, Shawn? Oh, man, what's up? Oh, medication.
I know Martin Luther King
Shawn is
said,
medication,
I know what MLK said. I don't know what Arthur said, but I know MLK says everybody can be great because everybody can serve. And that's what Martin Luther King said. That's something I just use that to lead me, whether I'm helping out at the church, obviously helping around with the community, those in need. We can all find someone to serve our community, and find those to help somebody mentor who's not as well off as you. So
absolutely.
I appreciate the opportunity
And
to
that can be very, helping kindness, just saying hello and thank you and open the door and
Eye contact.
And that can be that's contagious. It's already been proven through research and data that if you treat somebody nice, I mean that you for yourself personally and all, but again, it can be contagious and all. And what the world needs now is people just be able to get along no matter what shade of color, what part of town, or if they're a goat or a sheep or a pig or a cow. Why can't we all just get along?
Speaking of, I do want to also give a special shout out to Black History Month this month.
Why I gotta be black, dog? No, I'm just joking, man. Because,
and next week, I want to tell everybody that we're going to be having a coach on and talking about how do you train a goat? How do you build a goat? And what's it take from a coach's standpoint to be a goat? So I look forward to talking to you then. I enjoyed the show, guys. You have a great week and go.
Thank you, Shawn. And Art, tell Dennis I said what's up.
Okay, you say he sucks. You said tell Dennis he sucks.
No, I said tell him I said what's up.
Oh, okay. I gotta say, man, I want to jump through the screen, man. I can break out the Jackie Chan. It comes with the sounds. I'll be tripping you out, dog. I'll definitely do that and all too. Hey, I appreciate Shawn. Hey, Shawn, man. Hey.
Thanks, Shawn.
Yeah, it's gonna be all right, Shawn. Hey, we're gonna get you a helmet, man.
Always, man. How about those Chiefs?
Way to go.
Yay! Love it. Thanks, guys, for being on the show.
Hey, guys.
Too legit to quit.
Art.